The ancient hall of the Galactic Coalition was quiet. Too quiet. The massive chamber could hold thousands of beings from across the stars, but today only a few hundred attended. Most of the younger species had stopped coming to these old meetings. They thought the ancient ones were boring. They thought the elders talked too much about the past. Elder Krathos stood at the center platform. His species was one of the oldest in the known galaxy. The Voskor had seen empires rise and fall like waves on a shore. They had watched countless civilizations bloom and fade. They knew things that others had forgotten. Today, the elder had important news. His long fingers moved across the holographic controls. Images appeared in the air above the platform. A small blue and green planet floated in the darkness of space. "We have found a new species," the elder said. His voice was calm but serious. "They call their world Earth. They call themselves humans." A few delegates looked up with mild interest. New species were discovered all the time. What made these humans special? The elder continued. He showed more images: cities, machines, battles. The images showed humans fighting, always fighting. They fought with swords. They fought with guns. They fought with massive bombs that could destroy entire cities. And they were fighting each other. These beings are dangerous, the elder warned, not because they are strong, not because they are smart, but because they never stop. Ambassador Gentar from the hegemony laughed. It was a harsh, clicking sound. The Gentar were warriors. Their empire controlled 10,000 worlds. They had crushed 100 species who dared to resist them. "Elder, with respect, I see nothing to fear," Gentar said. "These humans fight with primitive weapons. They have not even left their moon. They waste their energy fighting among themselves. They are weak," other delegates nodded. They agreed with Gentar. Some even smiled at the old elder. They thought he was being foolish, scared of nothing. The elder showed more images. He showed human history, ice ages that should have killed them but humans survived, diseases that should have wiped them out but humans endured, disasters, famines, wars. Through everything, humans kept going. "Look closely," the elder said. "These humans evolved on what they call a death world. Their planet has predators that can kill them easily. Their weather can freeze them or burn them. Their ground shakes and destroys their cities. Yet they survive. More than survive. They thrive." He showed footage of human soldiers in their wars. Humans fighting when they were outnumbered. Fighting when they were injured. Fighting when any other species would have surrendered, and sometimes incredibly winning. "They are persistence hunters," the elder explained. "Do you know what this means? On Earth there are animals faster than humans, stronger than humans, but humans hunted them by never giving up. They chased their prey for days, until the prey died from exhaustion. This is what humans are. They are the species that never stops chasing." Gentar stood up. His armored body gleamed under the lights. "Elder Krathos, you speak of primitive hunters. We are a galactic empire. We have weapons that can crack planets. We have ships that cross the galaxy in days. What can these humans do against us? Nothing. They are not even worth our attention." The other delegates agreed. They were bored now. They wanted to discuss trade routes and mining rights, not listen to warnings about some primitive species on the edge of explored space. The elder looked around the chamber. He saw the dismissal in their eyes. He had lived for 600 cycles. He had seen this before. Species who thought they were invincible. Species who ignored warnings. Most of them were now just dust in the stellar wind. "Very well," the elder said quietly. "I have given my warning. I have shown you what I have seen. The Voskor will have no part in what comes next. We will withdraw to our home systems. We will close our borders." This caused some surprise. The Voskor had been part of the coalition for thousands of years. They had never withdrawn before. "Why do you hide, old one?" Gentar asked mockingly. "Are you afraid of the hairless apes?" The elder looked at Gentar with ancient eyes. "I am not afraid of the humans themselves. I am afraid of what will happen when someone decides to test them. When someone decides these humans need to be conquered, or enslaved, or destroyed." He paused, and his next words were heavy with meaning. Because humans have a saying. They say, "Do not mistake kindness for weakness," and another one. "The only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing." These humans will not do nothing. Not when threatened, not when attacked. They will respond. And they will not stop responding until they win, or until they are extinct. There is no middle ground with them. The elder gathered his data and prepared to leave. At the entrance to the chamber, he turned back one last time. When the humans come to the stars, remember this day. Remember that you were warned. The humans are not invincible, but they are unstoppable. Learn the difference. It may save your species. The elder left. The chamber was silent for a moment. Then Gentar laughed again. The old one has gone soft. Afraid of primitives. How far the mighty have fallen. The other delegates joined in the laughter. They returned to their discussions of trade and territory. The warning was forgotten. The images of Earth were deleted from the official records. After all, why keep data about an insignificant species that posed no threat? 50 years passed. The galaxy turned. Empires grew. Wars were fought and won. And on a small blue planet on the edge of explored space, humans looked up at the stars and dreamed of going there. They built ships. They developed new engines. They trained crews. And eventually they left their home. They went seeking new worlds, new knowledge, new friends among the stars. They went in peace. But they were ready for anything, because humans always were. The exploration vessel Endeavour moved slowly through deep space. It was not a military ship. It carried scientists, engineers, and families. 2,000 souls traveled together toward a distant star system, where they hoped to build a new colony. 50 years had passed since the Elder's warning. Humanity had finally developed faster than light travel. It was not as fast as other species' technology, but it worked. The Endeavour used a combination of generation ship design and cryosleep. Most people slept while the ship traveled. A small crew stayed awake in shifts to maintain the systems. Captain Maria Santos was on the bridge when the alarm started. She was a veteran of Earth's space program. Calm under pressure. Smart and careful. She had spent 20 years preparing for this mission. Multiple contacts, the sensor officer reported. Unknown vessels. Moving to intercept. Santos felt her heart rate increase. This was first contact, the moment humanity had been dreaming about for centuries, meeting another intelligent species. She ordered all stations to ready for communication protocols. Send friendship signals, she ordered. All frequencies. Let them know we come in peace. The unknown vessels came closer. 6 ships. They were sleek and deadly looking. Built for war, not exploration. They moved with purpose. They surrounded the Endeavour like predators circling prey. A message came through. The translation was rough, but the meaning was clear. It was from the Gentar hegemony. Santos did not know this name. Humans had no knowledge of the Gentar or their empire. They did not know about the Elder's warning or the Galactic Coalition. They were alone and facing an unknown threat. The message was simple. Submit. Surrender your vessel. You are now property of the hegemony. Santos looked at her crew. She saw fear in their eyes. But she also saw determination. These were humans. They had left Earth seeking new horizons. They had traveled for years through the darkness of space. They had not come all this way to become slaves. Send response, Santos said. Tell them we are peaceful explorers. Tell them we wish to speak, not fight. But tell them we will not surrender. The Gentar response came quickly. It was a weapons blast. A warning shot that passed close to the Endeavour's hull. The message was clear. Submit or be destroyed. Santos made a decision. The Endeavour was not a warship. They had some defensive weapons, but nothing that could fight 6 military vessels. She could surrender and hope for mercy, or she could fight and die. Or she could try something else. All crew to escape pods, she ordered. Prepare evacuation protocols. Engineering, I need everything you can give me. Her crew moved fast. They had trained for emergencies. Parents grabbed children. Engineers secured critical data. Scientists saved their research. In 12 minutes, 600 people were loaded into escape pods. The pods were small, cramped. They had limited supplies, but they had one advantage. They were hard to detect. Santos stayed on the bridge with her senior officers. 400 crew members remained. They volunteered. They knew what was coming. Launch pods, Santos commanded. Silent running. Maximum dispersal. Some of you will make it home. Some of you will survive. Tell Earth what happened here. Tell them what we found among the stars. The escape pods launched in all directions, hundreds of tiny craft spreading out into space. The Gentar ships did not notice. They were focused on the Endeavour. Santos sent one final message to the Gentar. It was broadcast on all frequencies, recorded in every language humans knew. She wanted to make sure someone heard it. Someone understood it. I am Captain Maria Santos of the human exploration vessel Endeavour. You have attacked us without cause. You have demanded our surrender without offering any chance to talk. You have shown us what you are. Now let me show you what we are." She paused. "We are not warriors. We came in peace. We came seeking friends and knowledge. But we are humans. And humans do not bow to bullies. We do not surrender to threats. We do not give up ever." Santos looked at her officers. They nodded. They understood. They were ready. "Tell your empire this," Santos continued in her message. "Tell them you met humans today. Tell them we fought. Tell them we lost. But also tell them this. Tell them we are coming. Tell them we do not stop. Tell them that every human who heard about this day will remember. And they will come looking for you, not for revenge, not for glory, but because you made it personal. Because you attacked peaceful explorers who just wanted to see the stars. Because you gave us no choice," she smiled grimly. "Tell them we are coming. Tell them they should have listened to the elder." The Gentar commander listened to the message. He did not understand most of it. What elder? What was this human talking about? It did not matter. These primitives needed to learn their place. "Disable their ship," the commander ordered. "Prepare boarding parties. We will take survivors as slaves. This vessel will make a fine trophy." But Santos had one more surprise. The Endeavour had fusion reactors, powerful engines that could push the ship through space. Santos had ordered the engineering team to disable all safety systems, to overload the reactors, to turn their ship into a bomb. "For Earth," she whispered. "For humanity. For every person who dares to dream of the stars." She pressed the button. The Endeavour exploded. The blast was massive. It caught 2 Gentar ships that were moving into board. One was destroyed instantly. The other was crippled, spinning away into space. The explosion also created a debris field and electromagnetic pulse that blinded the other Gentar ships for precious minutes. In those minutes, the escape pods got farther away. Farther into the darkness, where the Gentar could not find them. When the Gentar commander recovered, he was furious. These humans had destroyed themselves rather than surrender. They had taken 2 of his ships with them. They had embarrassed him, made him look foolish. He searched for survivors. He found none. The escape pods were too small and too far away. He did not have time to search the entire sector. He had orders. He had a schedule. And surely a few primitives in tiny pods would die anyway. Space was deadly. They would not survive. "Minor species eliminated," he reported to Hegemony Command. "They resisted. We destroyed them. No threat detected. Recommend avoiding the sector. Nothing of value here." The Hegemony filed the report and forgot about it. Just another primitive species that thought they could resist. Just another lesson taught. Nothing important. But in the darkness of space, 600 humans survived in their escape pods. They shared supplies. They shared air. They shared hope. And they had something else. They had recordings. They had sensor data. They had knowledge of the Gentar ships, their weapons, their tactics, their language. And most importantly, they had Captain Santos's final message. They had her promise. They had her words. Humans were coming. Humans would not stop. The Gentar just did not know it yet. 5 years after the Endeavour was destroyed, the escape pods returned to human space. Not all of them. Many were lost in the journey. Space was vast and deadly, but 182 people survived. They had traveled for years in cramped pods, sharing supplies, taking turns in cryosleep, helping each other survive. They made it home. The news hit Earth like a shockwave. Humanity was not alone in the universe, and their first contact had been an attack. An unprovoked act of war. Captain Santos and 1,400 crew members were dead, murdered by an alien empire that demanded submission without even talking first. The survivors brought back everything they had recorded, sensor data on the Gentar ships, translations of their language, examples of their technology, and most importantly, they brought back Captain Santos's final message. Her words spread across Earth, across every human colony, across every space station. Millions heard her promise. Billions more would soon hear it. The United Earth government called an emergency session. Delegates from every nation gathered. They had not agreed on much in recent years. Climate policy, trade disputes, colonial rights. But this was different. This was an attack on humanity itself. This united them. General James Chen stood before the assembly. He was old now. He had fought in Earth's last major war 30 years ago. He had hoped never to see war again. But here he was, We have two choices, Chen said simply. We can hide. Pull back to Earth, stop exploring. Hope these Gentar never find us. Or we can prepare. A diplomat stood up. Prepare for what, war? Against an empire that spans 10,000 worlds? We have 47 colonies. We barely have a functioning space navy. They destroyed the Endeavor without even trying. How can we fight them? Chen nodded. You are right. We cannot fight them. Not today. Not in a direct battle. But we can do what humans have always done. We can adapt, we can learn. We can prepare, and we can make sure that if they come for us again, we make them regret it. Another delegate spoke. What about diplomacy? Maybe we can talk to them, explain it was a misunderstanding. Make peace. Chen showed the recordings from the Endeavor, the Gentar attack, their demands for submission, their refusal to even communicate. They did not want to talk. They wanted slaves, and when Captain Santos refused, they tried to destroy her ship and take the survivors. That is not a misunderstanding. That is who they are. The vote was unanimous. Humanity would prepare for war. They would study the Gentar technology. They would build defenses. They would train soldiers. And they would make sure that if the Gentar came again, humanity would be ready. What followed was the greatest mobilization in human history. Scientists worked day and night studying the Gentar sensor data. Engineers reverse-engineered alien technology from the debris the Endeavor had scattered when it exploded. Military leaders developed new tactics, new strategies, ways to fight an enemy with superior technology. But the military was not the only group preparing. Civilians volunteered. Colonists built defenses. Miners increased production. Factories that made civilian goods converted to military production. Everyone contributed. Everyone understood. This was not about conquest. This was about survival. 3 years into the preparation, the Gentar came again. They had decided to expand their territory. They had found a human colony world called New Hebrides. 4 million colonists, farmers, miners, families. The colony had some defensive weapons, but nothing major. It was a soft target, easy pickings. The Gentar fleet arrived expecting no resistance. They were wrong. The colonists had been training. They had been preparing. They had weapons that Earth had sent them. Not enough to win, but enough to fight. The battle for New Hebrides lasted 3 days. The colonists fought from the ground. They used guerrilla tactics, hit-and-run attacks. They destroyed supply depots. They ambushed patrols. They made the Gentar pay for every meter of ground. When the human defense fleet arrived, the Gentar were surprised. These humans had real warships now. Not many, not as advanced. But they fought with a desperation and creativity that shocked the aliens. Human ships used unconventional tactics. They rammed enemy vessels. They detonated their own ships as weapons. They used the debris field as cover. They fought in ways the Gentar had never seen. Ways that broke all conventional military doctrine. In the end, humanity lost the battle. The Gentar took New Hebrides. They controlled the planet. They had won, but it had cost them. They lost 20 ships, 3,000 soldiers, and they only held the major cities. The countryside was still controlled by human resistance fighters who refused to surrender. The Gentar commander sent a report to the hegemony. We have secured the human colony world, but these humans are different from other species. They do not surrender even when clearly defeated. They continue fighting. We have captured several, but they refuse to work. They sabotage equipment. They attack guards. I recommend additional forces. Back on Earth, the loss of New Hebrides was mourning, but there was also resolve. The colonists had held out for 3 days. They had made the Gentar bleed. They had shown that humans could fight back. More importantly, they had bought time. Time for the rest of humanity to prepare. Time to build more ships. Time to train more soldiers. Time to develop better weapons. Admiral Sarah Chen, daughter of the late Captain Santos, addressed the human fleet. She had joined the military after her mother's death. She had risen through the ranks through skill and determination. Now she commanded humanity's growing space navy. The Gentar think they won, she said to her officers. They hold New Hebrides. They think that means victory. But they are learning what my mother tried to teach them. You do not beat humans by winning battles. You beat humans by making them give up. And we will never give up. She played a recording. It was transmitted from New Hebrides. From the resistance fighters still fighting in the countryside, Their leader spoke in a calm, determined voice. To all humans listening, this is New Hebrides. We are still here. We are still fighting. They took our cities, but not our will. They killed our friends, but not our hope. We will resist every day, every hour, every minute, until relief comes or until we fall, but we will never surrender. Never. The message ended with words that would become humanity's battle cry, words that would be repeated in every battle, every fight, every struggle to come. You wanted war. We invented it. You wanted to test us. Now you will learn what humans are really like. We are the species that walked out of Africa with nothing but sharp sticks. We are the species that survived ice ages and plagues. We are the species that split the atom and went to the moon. We are humanity, and we are coming. 3 years into the war, the Gentar hegemony controlled 15 human colony worlds. On paper, they were winning. Their empire was larger. Their technology was better. Their military was stronger. But they were not happy. They were, in fact, starting to worry. The problem was simple. The Gentar could win every battle. They could take every planet, but they could not hold them. Not really. Every world they conquered became a nightmare of resistance and sabotage. On New Hebrides, the resistance was still fighting 3 years after the initial invasion. They lived in the mountains and forests. They attacked supply convoys. They destroyed communications equipment. They made the Gentar occupation expensive and bloody. The Gentar had to keep 10,000 troops on the planet just to maintain basic control. Troops they needed elsewhere, and it was not just New Hebrides. Every occupied human world was the same. Humans did not accept defeat. They did not cooperate. They did not work peacefully under Gentar rule. They resisted, always. Commander Gencar sat in his office reviewing reports. He was responsible for the occupation of 4 human worlds. Every day brought new problems. Factory workers who worked slowly, equipment that mysteriously broke, guards who disappeared, food supplies that spoiled. It never ended. He had captured hundreds of humans, tried to interrogate them, learn their plans. But they would not talk. They would not cooperate. Some pretended not to understand. Others stayed silent. A few gave false information that led his troops into traps. Gencar called his intelligence officer. "Explain this to me. We have defeated these humans in every major battle. We control their planets. Why do they continue fighting?" The officer pulled up human cultural data they had collected. "Sir, I have been studying them. Humans have a different mindset than other species we have conquered. They do not fight to win. They fight to not lose. There is a difference." "What difference?" Gencar demanded. "Most species fight until they calculate victory as impossible. Then they surrender. It is logical. It saves lives. But humans do not think this way. They fight until they physically cannot fight anymore, and even then they look for ways to resist. They value stubbornness over logic. They value determination over survival." Gencar did not like this answer. "So how do we make them stop?" The intelligence officer shook his head. "I do not know, sir. In their history, they have fought wars that lasted decades, even centuries. They have resisted occupations for generations. There are examples of small human groups fighting empires much larger than themselves. And often the empires gave up first. Meanwhile, humanity was adapting. That was what humans did best. They learned from every battle. Every defeat taught them something new. They studied Gentar tactics. They analyzed captured technology. They improved their weapons and strategies. Human ships were getting better. Not as advanced as Gentar vessels, but close. And humans used them differently. They took risks. They tried things that no military academy would teach. Sometimes these tactics failed. But when they worked spectacularly. Captain Marcus Webb led a raid deep into Gentar territory. His mission was impossible. Rescue human prisoners from a heavily guarded facility. Every military analyst said it could not be done. The facility was too well protected. The odds were too bad. Webb did it anyway. He used a captured Gentar ship, flew right up to the facility pretending to be a supply vessel. When challenged, he broadcast stolen security codes. It worked. He landed. His team moved fast. They freed 200 prisoners. Then they stole 6 more Gentar ships and escaped before the guards realized what happened. The rescue made headlines across human space. More importantly, it made the Gentar nervous. If humans could penetrate their secure facilities, nowhere was safe. They had to increase security everywhere. More guards, more checks, More resources diverted from the front lines. Admiral Chen launched another operation. Not a military attack. Something else. Something the Gentar did not expect. She broadcast messages directly to the Gentar population. Not threats. Not propaganda. Just information. She told them the truth about the war. How it started with an unprovoked attack on peaceful explorers. How humans had tried to communicate but were met with violence. How humanity was only defending itself. She included footage from the Endeavor. Captain Santos's final message. The battle for New Hebrides. The Gentar government tried to block these transmissions, but humans were persistent. They found new frequencies, new methods. The messages kept getting through, and some Gentar civilians started asking questions. Why were they fighting these humans? What had humans done to deserve this war? The Gentar High Command met to discuss the situation. Their military leader, High Commander Genthor, was frustrated. These humans should have broken by now. We have destroyed their fleets. We occupy their worlds. Why do they not surrender? One of his advisors spoke carefully. Sir, I've been reviewing old records. There was a warning. From the Voskor Elder, 50 years ago, before we encountered the humans. What warning? Genthor demanded. The Elder said humans were dangerous, not because of their technology or military power, but because they never stop. He called them persistence hunters. He said they would chase prey for days until it died from exhaustion. He said attacking them would be a mistake. Genthor was silent for a long moment. Then he laughed. But it was not a happy laugh. The old fool was right. We are the prey being hunted. These humans are not trying to win battles. They are trying to exhaust us, make us spend resources, make us worry, make us question if this war is worth the cost. Another advisor spoke. Sir, we have another problem. Our client species, the ones who provide us with resources and soldiers. Some are starting to rebel. They say if humans can resist us, maybe they can too. This was serious. The Gentar Empire was built on conquered species who served them. If these species rebelled, the empire would collapse. Back in human space, Admiral Chen prepared for her next move. She had been planning this for months. A major offensive, not to conquer Gentar territory, not to destroy their forces, but to send a message. She gathered her fleet. 100 ships, everything humanity could spare. They jumped deep into Gentar space, straight toward a major shipyard, a facility that built 30% of the Gentar Navy. The Gentar scrambled to defend it. They sent every ship they could. The battle was fierce. Humans lost 70 ships, but they accomplished their mission. The shipyard was destroyed. Years of construction were lost. Hundreds of half-built ships were destroyed. As the surviving human ships retreated, Admiral Chen broadcast one final message to the Gentar. It was short, simple, and terrifying in its implications. Every ship we lose teaches us something. Every battle we fight makes us stronger. Every day you continue this war, we adapt more. We learn more. We become more dangerous. The question you need to ask yourself is this. Can you afford to keep fighting us? Can your empire survive a war against an enemy that never stops learning? An enemy that treats every loss as a lesson and every defeat as motivation? We are 7 years into this war. We can fight for 70 more. Can you? Year 10 of the war. The galaxy was watching now. The conflict between humans and the Gentar hegemony had become impossible to ignore. What started as a minor border dispute was now a full-scale war that threatened to destabilize an entire sector. The impossible had happened. Human forces were no longer just defending. They were attacking. Raids deep into Gentar space, hit-and-run strikes on supply lines, commando operations to free prisoners and steal technology. The Gentar were being pushed back, slowly, painfully, but undeniably. Human technology had caught up. Years of studying captured Gentar equipment had paid off. Human ships were now equal in most ways, better in some. Human engineers had done something the Gentar never expected. They had improved on alien technology. They had looked at Gentar designs and asked, what if we did it differently? This was the human advantage. The Gentar military had not changed tactics in 1,000 years. Why would they? Their methods worked. They had conquered 100 species, but humans changed constantly. They experimented. They tried new things. They were not afraid to fail because failure taught them what not to do next time. Commander Genvar led the defense of a critical Gentar colony. He had studied human tactics. He thought he understood them. He was prepared for their tricks, their unconventional strategies, their willingness to sacrifice. But when the human fleet arrived, they did something he did not expect. They did not attack. They just sat there, waiting, broadcasting a message. The message was from Admiral Chen, but it was not addressed to Genvar. It was addressed to the civilian population on the planet below. People of this world, we are humans. We are not here to conquer you. We are not here to harm you. We are here because your government attacked us first. Your military demanded we surrender or die. We refused. That choice started this war, she continued. We know many of you did not choose this war. We know you are ordinary people trying to live your lives. We do not want to fight you, but we will not stop fighting until your government agrees to peace. Real peace. Not surrender. Not subjugation. Peace between equals. Tell your leaders. Tell them to stop this war before more people die on both sides. Genvar tried to jam the transmission, but humans had learned to broadcast on frequencies the Gentar could not easily block. The message got through, and it had an effect. Civilians on the planet started protesting. They did not want to be a battleground. They did not want their homes destroyed in a war that seemed pointless. This was happening across Gentar space. Humans were not just fighting a military war. They were fighting an information war. A psychological war. They were making the Gentar population question why they were fighting. Making them ask what the goal was. Making them wonder if it was worth the cost. In the hegemony capital, the high command was fracturing. The military hardliners wanted to escalate, commit more resources, crush the humans once and for all. But the pragmatists were looking at the numbers. The war was costing too much. Too many ships. Too many soldiers. Too much political stability. More concerning, 3 client species had openly rebelled. They had declared independence from the hegemony. When Gentar forces moved to suppress them, human forces provided support. Weapons, intelligence, training. The humans were not just defending themselves anymore. They were helping others resist Gentar rule. High Commander Genthor faced a choice. He could continue the war and risk his empire falling apart. Or he could seek peace and admit the hegemony had made a mistake. Neither option was good. But one was clearly worse. He contacted one of his advisors, the one who had found the Elder's warning. Find me everything about the Voskor. Everything about their elder who warned us. I need to understand what he knew that we did not. The research took weeks, but it painted a clear picture. The Voskor were ancient. They had survived because they were careful, because they watched and learned, because they knew when to fight and when to withdraw, and they had seen something in humans that the Gentar missed. Not strength, not intelligence, but an unbreakable will. Genthor made a decision. He would reach out to the humans, not to surrender, but to talk, to see if peace was possible. He did this quietly, secretly. The hardliners could not know. Not yet. He sent a message through neutral channels. A simple question. Would humans be willing to negotiate? The response came from Admiral Chen. Yes, but with conditions. Negotiations must be public. Both sides must agree to a ceasefire during talks, and any agreement must be verified by neutral parties. Genthor agreed. He announced peace negotiations to his government. The hardliners were furious. How dare he negotiate with these primitives? The hegemony did not negotiate. They conquered, but Genthor had support from the pragmatists, and from war-weary civilians, and from military officers who were tired of fighting an enemy that never stayed beaten. The negotiations moved forward. Then the hardliners made their move. They sent a strike force to attack the human peace delegation. If they killed the human leaders, the war would continue, and the hegemony would eventually win through sheer size and resources. But humans had prepared for this. They had learned to expect betrayal. The peace delegation was protected by stealth ships, by hidden defenses, by soldiers who had been fighting this war for 10 years and knew every Gentar trick. The attack failed. The hardliner fleet was destroyed, and humanity's response was swift and devastating. Not against the Gentar population, not against civilians, but against military targets, strategic installations, command centers, shipyards. In 72 hours, humanity launched coordinated strikes across 20 Gentar military facilities. The message was clear. We can reach you anywhere. We can hurt you anytime. We choose not to because we want peace. But if you force us to continue this war, we will win it. The most shocking strike was on the Gentar homeworld itself. Human ships appeared in orbit. They did not attack. They just sat there, visible, undeniable, a fleet capable of devastating the homeworld, but holding fire. Admiral Chen broadcast from her flagship. People of the hegemony, we are here. We have the power to destroy your world. Your military attacked our peace delegation. They tried to kill innocent people who came only to talk. This is who your hardliners are. This is what they value. War over peace, pride over survival. She paused. But we are not them. We did not come here to destroy. We came to make a point. You cannot defeat us through force. You cannot intimidate us. You cannot break us. The only way this war ends is through peace. Real peace. Mutual respect. Or we will fight you for another 10 years. Another 20. Another 50. However long it takes. The choice is yours. The Gentar population watched their skies. Watched human warships holding position above their cities. Ships that could kill millions but chose not to. And they understood. These humans were not monsters. They were not conquerors. They were just people who refused to be conquered. Who fought back when attacked, who wanted the same thing the Gentar civilians wanted. Peace, safety, a chance to live without fear. Across the hegemony, civilians demanded their government end the war. The hardliners were arrested by their own military. Commander Genthor, the pragmatist who had sought peace, became the new leader. He sent a message to Admiral Chen. 3 simple words in the human language he had learned during his study of them. We seek peace. The Treaty of Terra was signed 1 year after the human fleet appeared over the Gentar homeworld. The negotiations were difficult. Both sides had lost so much. Millions dead, countless resources wasted. Deep wounds that would take generations to heal. But the treaty was fair. That was what surprised the galaxy most. Humans did not demand punishment. They did not ask for territory or treasure. They asked for 3 things. First, all occupied human worlds must be returned. Second, the Gentar must recognize human sovereignty and independence. Third, both sides must agree to peaceful contact and trade going forward. The Gentar expected harsher terms. They had started the war. They had attacked first. They had killed peaceful explorers. By all rights, humans could have demanded much more. But Admiral Chen explained it simply. We did not fight for conquest. We fought for the right to exist. Now that you recognize that right, we have everything we wanted. The signing ceremony was held on Earth. It was the first time Gentar officials had visited the human homeworld. They were surprised by what they saw. Earth was beautiful but also clearly dangerous. Active volcanoes, earthquake zones, extreme weather patterns. The humans had not been lying. They really did evolve on a death world. Commander Genthor met with Admiral Chen privately after the ceremony. I have a question, he said. You could have destroyed our homeworld. You had the power. Why did you not? Chen looked at him with tired eyes. She had been fighting this war for 10 years. She had lost friends, family, comrades. Because that would have made us like you, like the you that attacked the Endeavor. We fight when we must. We are very good at it. But we do not enjoy it. We do not seek it. Every human who died in this war is someone who will never go home, never see their family again, never achieve their dreams. We remember that. Every single one. Genthor was quiet for a moment. The elder was right. The Voskor elder who warned us. He said humans were dangerous not because of your weapons, but because of your will, because you never stop. I thought he was a fool. Now I understand. You are not warriors by nature. You are survivors. That makes you more dangerous than any warrior race. Chen nodded. We are good at surviving. We have had a lot of practice. Now perhaps we can practice something else, living in peace. The Galactic Coalition took notice of humanity. They invited human representatives to join. It was an unusual offer. Normally species had to apply and wait decades for consideration. But the Coalition had watched the war. They had seen what humans could do. They wanted humanity inside the Coalition, not outside it. The human delegation was led by Ambassador James Harrison. He was the grandson of the colonel who had been captured and interrogated by the Gentar years earlier. His grandfather had taught him everything about dealing with alien species. Respect them, understand them, but never let them think you are weak. The coalition chamber was the same one where Elder Krethos had given his warning 60 years ago. Most of the same species were still represented, but the mood was different. Everyone wanted to meet the humans. Everyone wanted to understand how a species with barely 50 worlds had fought the hegemony to a standstill. Elder Krethos was there. He was very old now, nearly 700 cycles, but he had insisted on attending. He wanted to see this moment. The moment humans joined the galactic community, Ambassador Harrison stood before the assembly. He spoke clearly and confidently. "We are honored by your invitation. Humanity has dreamed of this day since we first looked up at the stars. The day we would join the community of intelligent species. Learn from you, trade with you, build a future together," he paused. "But we also bring a warning. The same warning you received 60 years ago and ignored. We are not conquerors. We are not empire builders. We just want to live in peace and explore the universe. But if anyone attacks us, if anyone threatens our people or our freedom, we will respond. We will fight. And we will not stop fighting until we win or until we are extinct. There is no third option with us." Some delegates shifted uncomfortably. This was not the usual diplomatic speech. It was too direct, too honest, too much like a threat. But Harrison continued. "However, we also promise this. We will be the best allies you could ask for. If you need help, we will help. If you face injustice, we will stand with you. If you seek knowledge, we will share what we know. We believe in loyalty, in keeping our word, in standing up for what is right even when it is difficult." He looked around the chamber. "You have seen what we can do in war. Now let us show you what we can do in peace." The vote to accept humanity was unanimous. Every species supported it. Even the Gentar delegate voted yes. That was perhaps the biggest surprise. But Commander Zenthor had insisted. He said the hegemony had learned its lesson. Better to have humans as allies than as enemies. After the ceremony, Elder Krethos approached the human delegation. Harrison recognized him from the historical records. This was the alien who had warned the galaxy about humanity. The one no one believed. "Elder," Harrison said respectfully, "I have read about your warning. About what you told them 60 years ago. You were right. About everything." The elder looked at him with ancient eyes. Eyes that had seen civilizations rise and fall. "I was only partially right. I warned them about your persistence, your refusal to give up. But I did not understand the full truth. I thought you were dangerous because you never stopped fighting. But that is not quite accurate. What is the truth then?" Harrison asked. "You never stop caring," the elder said simply. "That is your real strength. You fight so hard because you care about your people, all your people. You do not leave anyone behind. You do not forget anyone. Every person matters to you. That is why you are unstoppable. Not because you are strong or clever, but because you care enough to keep trying no matter what." He smiled. It was a rare expression for his species. "And that is why you will be good for this galaxy. We need species who care, who fight for what is right, who refuse to accept injustice." The Voskor withdrew from galactic politics because we were tired. We had seen too much. But you humans, you are just getting started. You still have hope. Still have fire. Harrison felt humbled. "Thank you, Elder. That means a lot coming from you." "One more thing," the Elder said. "In 30 years there will be a ceremony on New Hebrides, the colony where your people first resisted the Gentar. They are building a memorial for all who died in the war, from both sides. I would like to attend. Will you be there?" "I will," Harrison promised. "We will never forget what happened there, what it cost, and what we learned. 20 years passed. The war became history. The generation that fought it grew old. New generations grew up knowing peace. Trade flourished between humans and other species. Cultural exchanges happened. Friendships formed. The galaxy slowly healed, but humans did not forget. In every human school, children learned about the Endeavor, about Captain Santos, about the cost of war, about the value of peace. They learned that strength was not about dominating others. It was about standing up for what was right, protecting those who could not protect themselves. Never giving up on what mattered, humanity became known across the galaxy as the Liberators. When oppressed species needed help, they called on humans. When injustice needed to be confronted, humans stood up, not because they wanted glory, Not because they sought power, but because it was right. The Gentar Empire reformed itself. Commander Genthor led the changes. The hegemony became a federation. Client species became partners. The military culture shifted from conquest to defense. It was not easy. Many resisted. But slowly change happened. Genthor credited humans with saving his species. You defeated us, but you did not destroy us. You showed us a better way. You proved that strength and compassion are not opposites. They can exist together. We are grateful for that lesson, even if it was painful to learn. On the 30th anniversary of the Treaty of Terra, the memorial on New Hebrides was completed. It was a simple structure, a wall with names. Every human and Gentar who died in the war. Side by side, no separation. No distinction between victor and defeated. Just names. People who would never go home. Elder Krathos attended as promised. He was nearly 800 cycles old now, one of the oldest beings alive. He stood with Ambassador Harrison, now old himself, and looked at the memorial. I tried to warn them, the elder said quietly. I told them humans were unstoppable. But they did not listen. They thought unstoppable meant invincible. They did not understand the difference. What is the difference? Harrison asked. Invincible means you cannot be hurt. Unstoppable means you keep going even when you are hurt. Humans are not invincible. You bleed, you suffer, you die. But you never stop moving forward. Never stop trying. Never stop hoping. That is what makes you unstoppable. And that is what makes you special. Harrison looked at the names on the wall. He found Captain Santos. His eyes lingered there. She would be proud of what we built. All of us together, humans, Gentar, all the species of the coalition. We turned tragedy into something better. The elder nodded. That is the human way. You take the broken pieces and build something new. Something better. You never let pain stop you from trying to make things right.